Hi everyone. I know a lot of people have been having problems with chapter 3 and conversions, so what I thought I'd do is do a little presentation for you, see if it's easier for any of you to pick up with someone explaining it to you and seeing actually going through the process rather than trying to read it in a book, and then obviously going on to the questions, which are completely different to normally what you've been reading. So hopefully this will be a help to some of you. The first thing I'll do is I'm just going to figure out the area of this red square that I've drawn. Everybody should be pretty comfortable doing this. We have a 5 centimetre by 5 centimetre square, so to figure out its area, all we need to do is 5 centimetres times 5 centimetres equals 25 centimetres square. Okay, we'll still be happy with that. I had to figure out the volume is the one side times the other, and we get the centimetre squared because obviously we're tiling a centimetre by centimetre. If you're feeling confused already at this point, go back and read the books for the book on how to figure out volumes and what have you. Otherwise, by the time we get to figuring out volumes, your mind's going to be blown. Okay. All right. Say for whatever reason we don't want this square figured out in centimetres. We want it figured out in millimetres. The first things I need to do is think about how many millimetres are there in a centimetre. Okay, so 1 centimetre equals how many millimetres? Okay, 1 centimetre equals 10 millimetres. I think most of us know that. You see it on any old ruler. 1 centimetre equals 10 millimetres. Alright, then I'm going to look at the square. I'm going to think, right, well that's 5 centimetres, but that's 5 centimetres, and I want this in millimetres. Well, I know there's 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre. Okay, so 10 millimetres, but this time I want 5 centimetres, so I times it by 5. Okay, 10, which equals 50. Okay, so we know that 5 centimetres is 50 millimetres. Okay. In this case, both sides are the same. So we know this is also 50 millimetres. Okay, so from here we can do exactly the same as we did before. We can say 50 millimetres times 50 millimetres equals 2,500 millimetres squared. Okay, so here, you can see here all we've done is we've converted it from centimetres to millimetres. Okay, we know there's 10 millimetres in 1 centimetre, so there must be 50 millimetres in 5 centimetres. And then we've used the same formula as here to figure it out in millimetres. 50 millimetres times 50 millimetres is 2,500 millimetres squared. Right? You can see there's quite a big difference, and a lot of people get confused, or why can't I just multiply it by the first time? Hopefully this explains it a little bit better. Okay, it's both sides which are converted, not just the one side. Somebody's saying, great, Jay, that's great. However, that does not look like one of the questions I get in the book, which is completely right. A lot of the time you won't be given this 5 centimetre square to figure out an area. Okay, what you'll be given is something like the area of this box is 25 centimetres squared. Okay, so red box equals 25 millimetres squared. You're given something like that, worded one way or the other. Okay, so how do we figure out this part here and this part here? I mean, we can't figure out the sides because it might not be a square. It might be a rectangle. It might be a very thin rectangle. It might be a very fat rectangle. You don't know what it's going to be. It could be a square again. You just don't know. So what we need to do is we know this conversion factor here. All right. So we know 1 centimetre equals 10 millimetres. So first thing I'll do is I'll figure this out in scientific notation. I'll go, okay, so 1 centimetre equals 1 times 10 to the 1 millimetres. Okay, hopefully by now we're all comfortable with scientific notation, index form, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so 1 times 10 to the power of 1. 10 to the power of 1 is 10. 1 times 10 is 10, so it's the same as 10 millimeters. And you can use this for anything. It doesn't have to be millimeters. You could be converting all the way down the scale. Okay, so it could be micrometers, for example, and this would be, I think it's to the 6 or to the 12. I can't remember off the top of my head. Okay, so I've now got this. I'm thinking, right, well, I've got this, and I know I want it in, if I just change colour, I can highlight for you. I want it in squared. Right, squared. Okay, that means times in one side by the other. Right, well, I've got this as well. I've got this here, which is my conversion factor. Right, so what do I do? There's got to be some link between this one and this one. Well, there is. All you have to do is you times this number here, in this case 1, by this number here, which is 2. Okay, so we now know that, put that in yellow again, 1 centimetre squared equals 1 times 10 to the 2 millimetres squared. So all I've done is I've taken this power here and multiplied it by this power here. Okay, in this case it's quite simple because it's 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Stick it on the 2. I'll come on to some bigger numbers later. This is where people generally get confused. So we now know that 1 centimetre squared is equal to 1 times 10 to the 2 millimetres squared. Right, now all we can do is do exactly the same as we've done before. So we know that 25 centimetres squared equals 25 times, running out of space here, 1 times 10 to the 2 millimetres squared. Let's bracket around that, make it clearer. Okay, hopefully I haven't confused you too much here. We've worked out this formula here. We know why that 1 centimetre square is 1 times 10 to the 2 millimetres squared. Okay, but we need to know 25 of them. So all we're doing is times in this formula here, another colour, this formula here is here, okay, and we want 25, not just 1, I say, because we're timesing it by 25. Okay, 1 times 10 to the 2 is 100, yeah? We can figure that out. So 25 times 100 equals 2,500 millimetres squared. If you check up here, it all figures out. 2,500 millimetres squared, 2,500 millimetres squared. Okay, I think I'm running out of time for this YouTube presentation, so what I'm going to do on the next presentation is I'm going to do some bigger examples, the ones that you're likely to see in the exam. Okay, normally a lot of the time you're not going to get an easy one like this where it's 1 times 2, you're going to get micrometers or kilometers or something a lot bigger. Hopefully I haven't confused too much, and it'll give you, this is giving you a basic understanding, so when we move on to the bigger ones it will make sense. Okay, if you're panicking still, don't worry, I'll move on, I'll go back all through this, and hopefully you'll grab an understanding of it by the time I'm finished, and I hope to see you in the next presentation.